Severe weather hitting the upper Midwest tonight, and it will move into Kentucky on Tuesday. Hey there, friends. I'm meteorologist Shane Smith. It is just after 9 o'clock on Monday, July 20th, 2026. Hope you're doing okay. And it's an active night of weather across the Great Lakes region and portions of the upper Midwest. You can see here on the radar picture we have severe thunderstorms and tornado warnings across portions of Minnesota, Iowa, into Illinois, and Michigan tonight, as an unseasonably strong cold front is diving down towards the Ohio Valley. And that system is going to continue its trek off to the south and the east through the overnight, and it will roll across the Commonwealth of Kentucky on your Tuesday. And it could bring multiple rounds of severe weather on Tuesday. The Storm Prediction Center has a good chunk of the state highlighted in a level 3 out of 5 risk, an enhanced risk of severe weather in northern and northeastern Kentucky. That does include Lexington, Moorhead, Ashland, Paintsville, Maysville, and just outside of Covington. The rest of the state is pretty much under a slight risk, a 2 out of 5 on the severe weather scale. And anytime we start getting into that enhanced risk, that's enough that it really gets my attention. We really need to keep an eye on things and be weather aware tomorrow. Let's break down the individual threats. First, starting with tornadic activity. A large chunk of the state in the green area, under a 2% risk of tornadoes tomorrow, but the area in the brown, including E-Town, Lexington, Berea, and Richmond, up towards Georgetown, Dry Ridge, Maysville, Moorhead, Ashland, that is under a 5% risk of tornadoes, and I would not be surprised if that doesn't shift back down to the south and the west a little bit. Some of the latest data I'm looking at is bringing some of the energy back a little further west than what the modeling was showing earlier in the day when the SPC put this outlook together. They have that same area in northeastern Kentucky under a 45% chance of damaging winds in excess of 60 to 65 miles per hour, while the areas in red are under a 30% chance of damaging winds, that being wind over 60 miles per hour, including the Louisville metro area, Covington, E-Town, Owensboro, Madisonville, Bowling Green, Columbia, Somerset, London, Corbin, Williamsburg, Hazard, Harlan, Pikeville. So a good chunk of the state has the potential of seeing damaging winds that could bring down trees and power lines and cause some issues across the state on your Tuesday. And then as we take a look at the hail outlook, not as bad. Still a 15% chance of hail for the northern 2/3 of the state. So a lot of ingredients coming together to make this complex of thunderstorms happen. Let's break down how the future radar looks and how this could potentially play out. Now we're going to look at a couple of different models tonight because each one kind of has a different take on it. We're going to start first with the HRRR model. We are at 9 o'clock, and you can see severe thunderstorms already approaching Covington and northern Kentucky by as early as 9 or 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. We are going to start early with this, and then as we go into the lunchtime hour, noon, watch how this line of storms is developing into a squall line. Now, along this squall line, there may be a few pockets of rotation. We're going to be looking for little notches in the radar reflectivity to show that these storms could be rotating or producing tornadic cells, actually have a full-on tornado potential with these. In fact, this is Louisville at noon tomorrow. I'm kind of looking at this out of morbid curiosity because that's where I am right now at an education conference. And yeah, there's quite a bit of shear in the environment. Thankfully, the significant tornado parameter is looking low, but that could be at least an indicator of some damaging wind potential with this kind of a setup and a lot of heavy rain. So we're going to watch that. This first line will move to the south and the east through the early afternoon. Now, this is one model's take. It could be wrong. We use models for guidance, not gospel. But then it's developing more storms off to the north and the west and through central Kentucky during the afternoon, and then a third line potentially develops. And you're probably saying, now, Shane, those second and third lines will be weaker. Maybe not, friends. We have got a lot of moisture and heat funneling into the system. In fact, you can see Bowling Green tomorrow at 6 o'clock, maybe in the mid 90s. That is a lot of heat and humidity. So there is going to be plenty of energy for these storms to work through. I don't think one line of storms is going to sap all the energy out of the atmosphere. It may take 2 or 3 lines to finally get this thing calmed down and get them under severe limits. And then as we go into Wednesday morning, we see some lingering showers and thunderstorms, mainly down in southeast Kentucky. So there is not only the potential of severe weather, multiple rounds of it, with damaging winds being our main concern, there is also the potential of flash flooding. Here's the excessive rain outlook from the Weather Prediction Center tomorrow. Has 2/3 of the state under a slight risk of flash flooding. Any thunderstorm that goes up during the day on Tuesday could produce a quick 1 or 2 inches of rain. That's enough to cause flash flooding, as wet as we've been lately. And then, over in western Kentucky, we continue to run heat advisories and extreme heat warnings. We are going to be seeing triple-digit heat indices tomorrow. So a very complicated setup. And I want to, just stressing that point about the flash flooding, check out the HRRR model. This is the total potential rain from that model over the next 48 hours. This takes us through Wednesday at 2 o'clock. If this model is correct, Lexington may see 5 or 6 inches of rain. If we get 5 or 6 inches of rain tomorrow in Lexington, Kentucky, we're going to be dealing with some flash flooding. No bones about it. Now, once again, guidance, not gospel, but it's something to stay aware of. Tomorrow is definitely a weather-aware day. Have multiple ways to get your warnings tomorrow. You want to have an app on your phone that receives warnings. A weather radio is great. You can turn on notifications on my Facebook or Twitter feed. I now have every county in Kentucky set to automatically send out an alert anytime a severe weather warning is issued in those counties. So you can turn on notifications on my page. That can be kind of a backup, maybe a secondary or tertiary alert. I wouldn't use that as your primary, but that'll at least be there for you. We're going to get a little nerdy now for the next couple of minutes and break down some of the severe weather parameters from the HRRR model, the high resolution rapid refresh. This first one is the significant tornado parameter. This looks at all the things going on in the atmosphere and cranks out a single number to show you the potential of a tornado. Anything over a 2, so once you start getting into the yellows, is concerning. That's a legitimate shot at a tornado. You start getting into the reds, that's a legitimate shot at a significant tornado, EF2, EF3 plus. And you'll notice 3 o'clock tomorrow, just north of Danville, near Nicholasville and Salviza, that significant tornado parameter goes to a 6.3. .5 there. So that is concerning. That's one of those situations, anytime you see a 4 plus show up, you pay attention to that, because that is a good indicator that the atmosphere has enough rotation in it. And you notice the tornado and severe alert are highlighted on this. So this model is seeing at least the potential of these storms rotating at least through mid to late afternoon. So that's one of the things we're looking at for tomorrow. Let's look at another. Here's the energy helicity index. This is once again another composite. This looks at the amount of storm energy and the amount of spin in the atmosphere. Anything over a 2, once again, once you get up into the yellows, can lead to severe weather. You start getting into the reds and the purples, that's some pretty heavy duty severe weather. So E-Town tomorrow around 4, be on the lookout. Campbellsville around 5. So these are a few places that I am watching for the potential of some strong to severe weather. 1 o'clock just southeast of Maysville between Flemingsburg and Vanceburg. That's a little bit of a concerning signature. Another thing we can look at is CAPE. This is convectively available potential energy. Let me get my little tracker tool on here. This looks at overall storm energy. Anything over 2,000 can produce thunderstorms pretty efficiently. You start getting up around 3,000 or 4,000, you have the potential of pretty significant severe weather. And we're seeing CAPE values running 3,000 to 4,000, especially in western Kentucky. Now the dynamics are not going to be out as good over there. They've got more CAPE, but they don't have the wind energy. Here in central and eastern Kentucky, I think, is where everything comes together perfectly to bring it all together. This is another model we can look at. This is the rapid refresh, the version 2. Now you'll notice it has that line developing a little farther west tomorrow morning, and then a second line, and then potentially a third line. So another model's take, a little bit different. I tend to go with the HRRR in these kind of scenarios, but it's at least another piece of data to look at. The old tried and true NAM model, showing thunderstorms breaking out mid-afternoon, that squall line pushing south and east. So the models may differ in their overall projection of what happens and how the exact details play out. But the overall picture leans towards a pretty middle to high confidence severe weather event. There's some things that could happen that could at least limit it, change exactly where the main focus area is. It's going to depend on where exactly the storms track. How do all these ingredients come together? Do we have the heat in place? Do we have the humidity in place? Do we get sunshine before the storms? A lot of things. But this is definitely one we want to pay close attention to. Now, a bit of unfortunate news. As I mentioned earlier, I'm up at an education conference in Louisville. Meteorologist by night, teacher by day. I will likely be in sessions during the peak of the severe weather tomorrow, so I may not be able to live stream, but I will try to post updates on social media as I can. If my buddy Jim Caldwell goes live, I may try to pop on his stream, answer some questions there. If you can't watch me, I know Ryan Hall will be live tomorrow. I know Weather Now Kentucky will be live. Or you can check out your local broadcast meteorologist. I always recommend my friends at WKYT and WYMT. So tomorrow is definitely a day to be weather aware. Have a plan of action. Know where your severe weather safe spot is. Know where you need to go in the case of a tornado if it rolls into your area tomorrow. And there is at least potential of small to medium-sized tornadoes, EF1, EF2, maybe EF3, and my main concern, the damaging winds. 65, 70 mile per hour wind gusts possible. That can lead to power outages, that can cause damage to roofing, knocked over trees. So tomorrow is definitely one of those days to stay weather aware. Please go to my Meteorologist Shane Smith Facebook page or S Smith Weather on Twitter, now known as X. Be sure to follow, turn on notifications. That will get you those warnings for every county in Kentucky tomorrow. So I will have updates as I can tomorrow. I'll probably be posting pictures as I can, and especially when the new SPC data comes out in the morning. And I may try to get a video posted before I head out to the conference tomorrow morning. So until then, friends, I'm meteorologist Shane Smith. Take care, stay weather aware, and I'll see you all in the next one.